is how people really lose games. And it feels weird because you're like, oh, I made the right choice and he just overwhelmed me. And it's because you invested way too much time into doing that. So Jinro trying to change his name to Winro. Looks like he's getting in here, doing a lot of damage. Great production capacity by Jinro. Was at 112 food to 160 food and is now at 186, just sprinted back up 70 food. Marvelous and magical. More Vikings being made. Are there additional starports? Doesn't look like it, but it does look like Jinro is upgrading the ship platings. And Kulas Ravine is just one of the most Viking-friendly maps. There are so many high ground areas where you can land and do tons of damage, like firing down there. Able to pick off, at the very least, some roaches. Vikings are surprisingly good against roaches, and of course surprisingly good against things that can't see them. So of course they're very, very safe up here. And here comes some overlords, which are basically Lalush saying, kill these, kill these. And here comes an entirely ground-based army, and if Jinro notices this, he's going to get a lot of free kills. And the roaches are trying to get around. He just backs up and says, oh, I guess I'll kill these drones off. And is the queen going to fall? Whoops. So look, some more shootering can go on, and Jinro's a nice guy. He's gonna let those overlords stay alive. But in this circumstance, now see, this is an interesting choice by Jinro. Look at how many Thors he's getting. Why? 250mm cannons. The Ultralisks kind of force you to get that. They are great against mech, but they do have their weaknesses, and that 250mm cannon is a big one. So I'm very, very curious to see how this is going to wind up for Jinro, because it's very rare to see a player get this many Thors. That is a lot of Thors. Probably going to put the 2 tanks up there and then squeak his way around with everything else. This expansion should have been hit a little bit harder by Lalush. He really should have been doing big drops like this, but at these very far away locations. Look how the creep isn't spread everywhere. And this queen even has 200 energy. A lot of opportunities to do that. Huge chance for Lalush to be able to pull ahead in this game. But, well, I probably shouldn't say pull ahead. The game's 200-200 with both players kind of splitting the map. That's pretty damn close. It's about as close as games get. But Jinro, God, I really want to see some of those Thors in action. I'm eager to do a little bit of slow-mo because I have that power thanks to the plus and minus buttons that do come on my keyboard. And here comes the big shot, and oh God, look at the 250mm cannon. It stuns it. It can't even move, getting taken out because, of course, for any of you who did not know this, it says stuns target, dealing 500 damage over 6 seconds. And I always kind of wonder whether or not it was actually intended to stun in the first place, or whether they said, that's easier to program. It just can't move at all. So bang, 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 see you later. Here come more units. No, they only cost 150 energy. And when I say only cost 150 energy, that's a lot of energy. Look at these Ultralisks. This is an ideal position for these Ultralisks to be in. But look at that, those 250mm cannons, they're frozen, they can't even move. The rest of the Ultralisks just have to sit there and watch, and the Thors can just take everything out. Oh my God, that was awesome. Oh Jesus, why build tanks when you can just make more Thors? It's like I have 20 Thors. It's like, you know what, it's not enough Thors, get more. That is just marvelous. I love that. And here's Jinro doing the good counter push over here. Of course, all these overlords having a puke party where they get together and just sort of vomit in a circle and exchange ideas. But of course, the Thors are going to put an end to that. Jinro is going to be wandering up into the top left. Big vulnerabilities there. And look at this, a defensive planetary fortress. Do not underestimate defensive planetary fortresses. Build one here, and planetary fortress, 2 of them, or hell, all 3 of them. You have a really immobile army, and you need to have excellent defense. Immobility is your biggest concern whenever you're going mech, both in StarCraft 1 and 2. So it's so key to have those good setups. Jinro, this sort of harass, I think, is a little bit behind. That definitely could have been happening while the push was going to the top, but still, looks like roasting ends up doing a decent amount of damage. They're going to surround and eliminate. Not that many Vikings being made, and oh, a lot of Vikings being made here. Looks like also more upgrades going on for the Vikings. Trying to look around for another armory, not really seeing one. But, you know, it's interesting to me because if I were in this tense situation as Jinro, mass Thors are absolutely not something I would consider doing. And they're the Corruptors, finally. Because, you know what, if you're going mass Thor against mass Ultralisk, you don't have to worry about, you know, say, if you're going mass Viking against a player who makes Broodlord Corruptor, if you lose the Viking battle, you know, if your opponent just gets a lot of Corruptors, Even 2 Broodlords can just eliminate your entire army. So it looks like, oh god, that's like exactly what Lalush is doing. What's the production queue looking like? Oh, looks like he's getting the weapons level 3, more Corruptors being made. Still has a lot of Infestors out there. Yeah, look at that, Jesus. I would almost call this half control group of Infestors, but of course this is not a strategy game made in 1998. In the future, which is actually happening right now, you can select infinity units, literally infinity units in this engine. Makes it a hell of a lot scarier to just 1A. I mean, you can 1A, 2A, 3A, but you're probably just going to have the exact same units controlled in hockey set 1, 2, and 3. So, fantastic. Vikings, just a few Vikings are excellent on this map. You heard me say that I would probably favor getting a lot of Vikings, and I love the fact that Jinro didn't do that, instead got a lot of Thors, but still some are essential. All these high ground, low ground areas. Some tanks, not abandoning tanks completely, but gotta be really careful. Oh no, the Vikings getting caught off guard. Oh no, oh, the Infestors. Uh-oh, they managed to get 1 Thor, and remember, that Thor does have 250mm cannon, so that means that Lalush can whip around and do that sick amount of damage to his own stuff, and Broodlords just do not really take that much damage from Thors. I mean, anything is going to take damage from 10 Thors, but Thors in general are not particularly strong against Broodlords. So that's why we really do love getting quite a few Vikings, and they are rallied to this extra special pair of double depots. And it looks like Lalush is going to have to retreat. God, this is very, very impressive by Jinro, the fact that he's able to come back. But the big problem always with mech is starvation. You just start to run low on money. Really only 1 mining base. This one's about to dry up. Huge, another push by Lalush, getting right in there, doing so much damage. Oh, Jesus, I think he just might barely be able to take this out. Broodlords are still in there trying to do damage. There are just all these Broodlings there. Shoot the Vikings! Oh god, Vikings fall real fast. I definitely recommend them as high priority targets, because they do a lot of damage and they die really fast. So obviously going to be a good little exchange there. And Lalush manages to stave off death again. And oh Jesus, Jinro's broke. Are you broke, Jinro? Yes, you are. Doesn't look like he's very high on any sort of orbital command juice, so he really is only mining from 1 base. Might even start building SCVs here. Yeah, look, trying to spam out some of those. And this target by Lalush, does he even know that this is up? Yeah, he totally does. This should be a prime target. Just throwing more units at all the disparate locations of his opponent. And yet again, nice harass by Jinro. Just non-stop attacking. Jesus, this game is intense. Wow, this is pretty epic. This is epic. And of course, some nice roasting going on by these Hellions. Looks like they've killed quite a decent amount between them. Oh, drones! Oh, the camel! Oh, headbutting it. The camel. Excuse me, the giraffe. How silly of me to call it a camel, and yet how appropriate of me to call that a giraffe. The spine tickler, as Ladder would call them. But yeah, more Thors coming out. Real curious how that's going to end up pairing up against this largely not... well, I guess there are some Ultralisks, but this increasingly large ground army by Lalush. Jinro's going to be doing the slow creeping action to get over here. This is another key point. Any Xel'Naga Watchtower area is just so critical for a Terran player going mech. Even I think that there should be a sensor tower there. You just need to have vision of everything. So it looks like Jinro's doing on the money front. Both players are definitely feeling the brokenness. They're definitely feeling much like a college student. Note that I am a college student. Well, a graduate level student. So, you know, I guess that means I'm super broke. I take on debt for the right to call myself a broke student. But at the very least, I do sound kind of intellectual. So, you know, this is probably the biggest leak, I would say, in Lalush's game. No creep. More creep. We must have more creep. WTB. Creep. It's going to be so essential to be able to bounce around. I mean, especially this one planetary fortress that's here. This is like a free kill for Zerg. I mean, just look at this map. There is like nothing even remotely close to there. Look, Jinro hardly even has any defenses over here on this right flank, let alone at this bottom expo. This expo is naked, man. Seriously, this is like a giant deer with lights on its back and like a targets and a spinning beeping hat that says shoot, shoot, shoot. And you know, it's just like, nah, he looks fine there. I'm not worried about it. So a good old expansion going on for Jinro. Setting up really nice tank placement. This is great tank placement. This is so good. I actually like this tank placement a lot more than if the tanks were actually placed here. Well, in StarCraft 1, I'd love this tank placement because the SCVs can get in the way of everything, and you can always back this command center up a little bit. But of course, command centers do, or SCVs do get targeted with high priority in terms of battles. So a lot of times you just end up losing all your SCVs, lol. Yeah, God, Ultralisks are so fast on creep, but they, of course, cannot get up to the Hellions nearly close enough in time. Be careful with your Ultras! Oh, God, just barely getting that out in time. One 250mm cannon, and that is gone. Goodbye, see ya. And this game, I still cannot quite tell who's going to